morning, I'm Tiana Cole with the HGP Nightly News' Week in Review. Here's a recap of the top stories covered within the past week. Some staff over the Guyana Power and Light say the management of the power company has not plunged enough electricity into the paychecks and are threatening strike action. More details in this Travis J's report.
Hundreds of workers attached to the Guyana Power and Light Company are threatening strike action because the power company is offering them a 7% salary increase as opposed to the 10% across-the-board pay hike for public servants and teachers. The workers are represented by the National Association of Agricultural, Commercial and Industrial Employees, NACI. NACI's General Secretary Toshao on Friday said that the union met with GPL's management team and rejected the 7% offer.
Initially, GPL said that they are awaiting the pronouncement on the government, which was done on Tuesday. We came to the meeting hoping that we will agree to the 10% that was announced to the government, but that is not to be.
Nagasar said that since teachers, sugar workers and other public servants will benefit from the government's announcement of 10%, GPL's 7% offer is insulting.
The government pronounced a 10% increase to 2024, 8% increase to 2025, also with some in-scale movements, additional increases. We at GPL is asking that we are willing to accept the 10% increase.
However, Nightly News understands that in January of this year, the Guyana Power and Light paid a 3% salary increase to some workers, and following the president's announcement, the workers only needed 7% more.
That has nothing to do with across the board. The president also announced in-scale movements for public sectors. That has nothing to do with the across the board. The 10% that we are asking for is the 10% that the president announced across the board.
The NACI's General Secretary believes that the offer by the Guyana Power Company is unfair to the workers.
As up to yesterday, we agreed to 10% to the Gaisuku. The same NACI for the junior staff of Gaisuku and the private salary of Gaisuku. Right? We signed a 3-year agreement for the 10%, the 8%, and the 9% across the board. Right? Public servant already accept the 10% across the board.
Negotiations between NACI and the Guyana Power and Light remain stalled up until Monday. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Also on Monday, police in Regional Division A have opened a murder investigation after the body of a Mazaruni Toshao was found at a Queenstown hotel. More details in this report.
Undertakers removed the body of 37-year-old Ridley Joseph from a room of the Signature Inn Hotel in Queenstown Monday morning. Joseph was the Toshao of Tasserini village in the Middle Mazaruni district. Sources familiar with the investigation told the Nightly News that detectives are treating the discovery of Joseph's body as murder since he appeared to have been stabbed. Chairman of the National Toshao's Council, Derek John, told reporters at the scene that Joseph, who had checked into the hotel on Sunday night, had traveled to Georgetown for the second executive meeting of the National Toshao's conference.
Well, we were all elected in last July, and we met once as an executive, and so far it's, we realized that Toshao was a very dedicated leader. He had a lot as a good leader, a lot of good potentials we saw it with him, even though that we didn't have much association with him because, as I said, it was only once we met as an executive.
John said Joseph's leadership, dedication and contributions to his district and the NTC will always be remembered.
But I think that Toshao was a very good family person. He was soft-spoken, and you could have seen his desire there to lead his community and also contribute at a national scale as it relates to Indigenous people's rights and their development.
What discussions do you have here?
Well, this will be our second executive meeting for the year, and we had planned to begin our meeting today and also close out for the year 2024. And unfortunate that this happened.
After a review of CCTV cameras, it is believed that police are looking for a male who was seen in the company of Joseph prior to his death. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
On Tuesday, following the tragic murder of Toshao Ridley Joseph, who was stabbed 19 times at the City Hotel. Opposition Member of Parliament Dawn Hastings Williams condemned the government's handling of Indigenous leaders. She called for urgent reforms to ensure the safety and respect of Toshaos. More in this report. Opposition Member of Parliament Dawn Hastings Williams, during a Facebook Live session, described the incident as disturbing and unsettling. She criticized the government for its continued neglect of the Indigenous population. Hastings Williams called for reforms to ensure the safety and proper treatment of Toshaos, while stating that they are still being treated as second-class citizens in Guyana.
These Toshaos, or chiefs of village communities, are equivalent to a mayor of a city. They're the first people of this country. But we all know that we, the indigenous people, still continues to be treated as second-class citizens in this country.
In the same broadcast, Hastings Williams questioned the lack of adequate security for Toshaos visiting Georgetown for official duties. She demanded 24/7 security for them during their visits, either through the Guyana police force or other means. She also criticized the government for putting them up in insecure hotels, suggesting that they should stay in more secure places like Marriott or Pegasus, and emphasized that discrimination against Indigenous people must stop.
Why are you putting them up in hotels that are not properly secured? Put them up in Marriott or put them up at Pegasus. The discrimination against the indigenous people must stop, and it must stop now.
Additionally, Hastings Williams highlighted the sacrifices Toshaos make, often leaving their families behind to serve their communities. She called for better compensation for Toshaos and criticized the government's failure to adequately value their contributions, especially in light of the country's oil wealth.
This oil-rich economy, Toshaos be paid well, so that they can look after their families when they leave their families home. It's a sacrifice they're making to come to Georgetown to attend meetings. And many times they go back with unsatisfactory answers to the questions that the villagers would ask them.
Meanwhile, Government Chief Whip Gil Toshao expressed deep sorrow over the loss of Toshao Ridley Joseph, who was recently elected to lead the village of Tasserine. Toshao extended her heartfelt condolences to Joseph's family, the Tasserine community, and the National Toshaos Council. However, Toshao condemned the political statements made by Hastings Williams following Joseph's murder. She accused Hastings Williams of using the tragedy for political gain and called for respect for Joseph's legacy. Toshao urged leaders to serve, not exploit such tragedies. Police investigations into Joseph's murder are ongoing. Joseph had checked into the Signature Inn Hotel on Sunday evening. Later, he was found dead in his room with 19 stab wounds. Authorities are working to confirm the identity of the suspect, and Amerindian man seen entering the hotel with Joseph early Monday morning. Meanwhile, according to the Ministry of Health, Joseph was scheduled to graduate on Monday as the best graduating student of the Registered Nursing Assistant RNA program in Region 10. Tianako reporting for the HGP Nightly News. Stay tuned to find out what other interesting stories made the news this week.
Interested in honoring or paying tribute to a loved one, or just making a loved one feel special? HGP TV offers you all that and more. Air your birthday greetings, death announcements, and wedding anniversaries on HGP TV today. HGP TV offers affordable prices, convenience, and great services. Call us on 220-3660 or email us at sales@hgptv.com.
On Tuesday, Alliance for Change leader Niger Hughes has called the handling of the stranded Venezuelan migrants in Georgetown a quote-unquote national embarrassment after a group of about 40 adults and children were discovered outside a supermarket in the city. Find out more in this report. On Monday evening, a group of more than 40 migrants, including children, converged outside a Real Value supermarket on Church Street, Georgetown, seeking assistance. When Alliance for Change AFC leader Niger Hughes arrived on the scene, the migrants claimed that they had traveled to Georgetown at the invitation of President Irfan Ali after a meeting in Essequibo last week. Presenting Venezuelan identification cards, the group alleged they were promised help but were left stranded. Hughes and his team provided refreshments and began arranging accommodation for the group. However, Minister within the office of the Prime Minister, Kwame McCoy, arrived and engaged the migrants. Hughes stated McCoy initially pledged government assistance, but later grew agitated, allegedly telling him to handle the situation since he had announced he would help.
I actually said to McCoy politics, he's like, what do you intend to do? He says this is an international humanitarian refugee situation. The government will act.
Hughes later told reporters that he secured overnight accommodation for the migrants and would contact international agencies for additional support. He described the situation as a quote-unquote national embarrassment and expressed hope that the government would take steps to address the issue, emphasizing that international refugees require a different standard of treatment.
Have accommodation somewhere in Toshao. Overnight, we're hoping to at least be able to raise funds to allow them to either go back to where they were, charity. We certainly will be contacting the international community overnight to indicate to them what the Guyana government's position is in relation to the treatment of refugees.
Hours later, Lieutenant Colonel Earl Edgell, the president's military aide, in a recorded message on Facebook, rejected claims that the president had invited the migrants to Georgetown. Edgell explained that during a presidential visit to Essequibo last Thursday, a group approached the president for assistance, but no such invitation was extended.
At no time at all was the president or persons associated with the president invited anyone to Georgetown.
Edgell also said on Friday migrants arrived at State House where they were fed, given Pampers, and transported to Perica.
It is appalling to now hear and see that the same set of individuals are in town making outlandish claims. I feel as though our assistance has been wasted and we are being targeted without cause.
The incident highlights the growing challenges posed by the influx of Venezuelan migrants here. It is estimated that some 40,000 refugees are now living in the country. Many have settled in bordering communities, while others travel to urban centers like Georgetown and Perica in search of assistance or work. Tianako reporting for the HGP Nightly News. On Wednesday, 2 high-ranking members of the Ghana Teachers Union have been suspended. President of the Ghana Teachers Union, Dr. Mark Light, believes political mischief is afoot. More details in this Travis J's report.
The second highest decision-making body of the Guyana Teachers Union has taken a decision to suspend its president, Dr. Mark Light, and the second vice president, Julian Cambridge. In an invited comment via telephone Wednesday, Dr. Light told Nightly News that the General Council's decision to suspend him and his second vice president is apparently over the signing of the salaries and benefits agreement with government earlier this year.
Myself and Mr. Cambridge, we were suspended indeed. Coming out of the General Council meeting yesterday, there was a motion to suspend us up to number 2, probably for signing the agreement that was approved by the General Council of August 8.
Light said that he was shocked by the suspension because, according to him, the very General Council had approved the signing of the agreement. He believes that political mischief is afoot.
The same General Council that approved the signing of the agreement is now suspending us. And I think it's desperate times. Number 3, there is a lot of political gimmicks. The union has now become so politicized with all the political elements surfacing at this meeting yesterday.
The agreement was struck after 75 days of industrial action by the nation's teachers. The agreement stipulates that teachers will receive a salary increase of 10% for 2024, 8% for 2025, and 9% for 2026. When that agreement was struck, the union's president, Dr. Light, and vice president, Julian Cambridge, were accused of deceiving teachers. They were also accused of colluding with the PPP government and misleading the General Council.
I think it's solely political, and the teachers of Guyana continue to be hoodwinked by the General Secretary, who operates as a conduit to her political party. So that is why it's sudden. Also, GPU's upcoming election, I think Mr. Cambridge will be the biggest challenge to all the other candidates, and therefore it's one of the ways to move him aside so that the other candidates can proceed.
Nightly News understands that 24 General Council members voted for Dr. Light to be suspended, while 8 voted against. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Still on news from Wednesday. We have an update on the story where a cab driver collapsed and died while in police custody Monday night. More in this Travis Chase report.
Police detectives in Regional Division A are preparing a file to be handed over to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution following the death of 63-year-old cab driver Brian Christopher Lidcott. Lidcott collapsed and died while in police custody at the Alberton Police Station on Monday night. By Wednesday morning, government's pathologist Dr. Nihal Singh said that Brian Lidcott died as a result of a heart attack. The ex-soldier was arrested around 6:30 p.m. Monday after he allegedly hit 2 cars while on Durban Street Lodge. Yonat Lidcott, the dead man's sister, told Nightly News in a recent interview that her brother had been ill and perhaps his medical condition might have been a contributing factor to the minor accident involving the cars.
Me brother don't drink. Like me brother, however you went feeling good, me like you get a little this in your sour, whatever make you run off the road and run into the cars them. He wasn't
any medical condition.
He's just trouble with high cholesterol. He's just trouble with high cholesterol. Well, I ain't nobody pressure, so, but he don't go clinic and no nothing. Me brother strong. Me brothers walk every Sunday to Sunday.
Police said no marks of violence were seen on the cab driver's body. The CCTV cameras at the police station were reviewed by detectives, and according to the police, the cameras captured the moment Brian was taken to the station and also when he collapsed to the ground. A source familiar with the investigation told Nightly News that the preparation of a file in the matter is standard operating procedure. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
More of the top stories of the past week after the break. Stay tuned.
Interested in honoring or paying tribute to a loved one, or just making a loved one feel special? HGP TV offers you all that and more. Air your birthday greetings, death announcements, and wedding anniversaries on HGP TV today. HGP TV offers affordable prices, convenience, and great services. Call us on 220-3660 or email us at sales@hgptv.com.
On Thursday, to avoid questions from the press, the majority of the Ghana's press corps was barred from the swearing-in ceremony of the Commissioner of Police and his deputies. More details in this Travis Chase report.
Journalists from multiple news organizations have been deliberately barred from the official swearing-in ceremony of the Commissioner of Police and the Deputy Commissioners of Police on Thursday morning. Instead, journalists were forced to follow the live stream of the swearing-in ceremony. Only a few hand-picked journalists witnessed the swearing-in ceremony. The question as to why the press was not invited to such an important event was met with silence from the Corporate Communications Unit of the Guyana Police Force. In fact, it can be observed that the relationship among the President, the hierarchy of the Guyana Police Force, and the press is now more confrontational and contemptuous than it has been in decades. It is therefore reasonable to assume that the Guyana Police Force and the government at large deliberately shut out members of the press to avoid questions about the constitutionality of appointing Clifton Hicken, who has passed the age of retirement, as police commissioner. Nightly News understands that Mr. Hicken's tenure as acting commissioner of police should have legally ended on August 1, 2023. Mr. Clifton Hicken was appointed to act as commissioner of police in March of 2022 when he was 53 years old. He reached retirement age of 55 in July of 2024. To shut out the press from such an important ceremony, President Irfan Ali felt more comfortable and unchallenged to say that he has followed the Constitution when he appointed Mr. Hicken as Commissioner of Police.
So as I congratulate you, I have also fulfilled my constitutional requirement for the appointment of the Commissioner of Police, and every aspect of the appointment has been meticulously followed as prescribed by the Constitution. Consultation, everything.
Opposition leader Aubrey Norton had already rejected the president's nod of Mr. Hicken being appointed. Norton had listed a series of reasons why Hicken should not be considered for the position. Commissioner Hicken will be supported by 5 deputy commissioners who were all sworn in Thursday morning. They are Mr. Errol Watts, Mr. Simon McBean, Mr. Fasil Karingbaksh, Mr. Ravindranath Budram, and Mr. Wendell Blanham. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Also on Thursday, court documents will be filed next week challenging the appointment of Clifton Hicken as police commissioner. Opposition leader Aubrey Norton says not only has Hicken passed the age of retirement, but he is also a quote-unquote questionable character and not qualified. Here is more from Travis Chase.
The president's appointment of Clifton Hicken as Commissioner of Police will be challenged in court. That's the word from leader of the opposition, Aubrey Norton, who spoke with reporters soon after Mr. Hicken was sworn in.
Hicken was neither certified nor qualified to be commissioner, and therefore I found it, not strange, abnormal, that they would have appointed him commissioner. And I've spoken to the lawyers this morning, and clearly we're going to take legal action on this one.
In rejecting Hicken's appointment, the opposition leader said that to substantively appoint Clifton Hicken as Commissioner of Police, who has passed the age of retirement, is unconstitutional and illegal.
We believe it's an unlawful appointment because Hicken has passed the age of 55. And if a teacher in this country arrives at the age 55 and she is a deputy head, she cannot be confirmed as a head. And therefore it follows logically that Hicken could not be confirmed. But the government has to pay back Hicken for some of the things he did for them.
Speaking at the swearing-in ceremony, President Ali said that he was satisfied that the decision to appoint Clifton Hicken was correct and that he has fulfilled his constitutional requirement for the appointment of the Commissioner of Police, including consultation.
Because for one, I don't consider myself to have been consulted. And the law said I should be consulted. When he wrote me, I made it very clear that, look, what is needed is an investigation, not the appointment of people who are of questionable character.
The opposition leader said that he had already laid out several reasons why Mr. Hicken should not be appointed commissioner, and those concerns have been ignored.
I indicated to him that the entire leadership of the police force, or most of the people in the leadership of the Guyana police force, should be under investigation, and I urged him to investigate the corruption in the police force. That he would have proceeded to appoint Hicken is indicative of the fact that they are complicit in the corruption.
Article 2111 of the Constitution requires the President to have meaningful consultation with the leader of the opposition before appointing the Commissioner of Police. The President is also required to consult with the Chairperson of the Police Service Commission after the Chairperson has consulted with other members of the Commission. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
And finally, on Friday, President Irfan Ali has sent a strong message to Venezuela regarding the construction of a bridge in Guyana's territory. He condemned the move, stating it will not be taken lightly. More in this report. President Irfan Ali, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, addressed soldiers at Camp Base in Ghana about Venezuela's actions. He emphasized that Ghana will continue to follow international law as Venezuela persists with its illegitimate territorial claims. The president disclosed that he asked the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to formally communicate Guyana's concerns to the International Court of Justice, ICJ, international partners, and Venezuela itself.
We do not take lightly, and we condemn the bridge that they would have built on territory or accessing territory that is not theirs.
President Ali reassured citizens, saying the government remains committed to defending the country's sovereignty with the support of its people and international allies.
We promise all of Guyana one thing. All of Guyana belongs to all of us, and all of Guyana will and must be protected by all of us. And that is a resolve of you, the men and women in uniform.
President Ali outlined plans for a modernized defense force, emphasizing the use of new technology, advanced training, and increased education for service members.
Importantly, to greater technology that will allow us to optimize our human asset, that will allow us to optimize our human asset in defense of our country.
He reaffirmed government's investment in the well-being and capability of the Ghana Defense Force, with more than $115 billion invested over the last 4 years.
Our defense is built on many planks. Firstly, it is built on our own determination, our own selfless action, our own men and women in uniform. It is built on you, the investment we make in you.
The Ghana-Venezuela border has been a long-standing point of contention, but recent developments including Venezuela's construction of a bridge on Guyanese territory, further exacerbating tensions. The matter is currently before the International Court of Justice, ICJ, for resolution. Tiana reporting for the HGP Nightly News. The PPP government is maintaining that there is no legal humbug in appointing Mr. Clifton Hicken as a substantive police commissioner. You will have more details from Travis Chase.
I've spoken to the lawyers this morning, and clearly we're going to take legal action on this one. Because for one, I don't consider myself to have been consulted.
Hours after that statement by Leader of the Opposition, Aubrey Norton, that he will be challenging the President's appointment of Clifton Hicken as Commissioner of Police on several grounds, mainly because he has passed the age of retirement, the government of Guyana in a statement to the media said it is ready to defend the appointment of Mr. Hicken. Quote, Mr. Norton is free to take whatever legal recourse he deems necessary. Needless to say, any legal challenge filed will be vigorously defended, unquote. On the issue of meaningful consultation in accordance with Article 2111 of the Constitution of Guyana, the government said that the correspondence to Mr. Norton earlier this year constituted consultations. Quote, for the public record, the government maintains most resolutely that Mr. Clifton Hicken was lawfully appointed in accordance with the provisions of Article 211 of the Constitution of Guyana and in due compliance with the Constitution, unquote. Several legal minds have already opined that a retired officer whose tenure has been extended or on contract could not be appointed substantive police commissioner. Mr. Hicken was appointed to act as police commissioner in March of 2022 when he was 53 years old, but he reached the mandatory retirement age in July of 2023. On Thursday, he was appointed commissioner of police by President Irfan Ali, along with 5 deputy commissioners of police. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
That has brought us to the end of the HGP Nightly News' Week in Review. On behalf of the Nightly News team, thanks for watching.